Hi, good afternoon. You're watching FMT Raw and I'm Stephanie Star Maria. With me in the studio today is the MP for Kota Belud, Dato' Abdul Rahman Dahlan. Dato', thank you very much for being with us today. He will talk to us today about the two controversies that has surrounded him in Sabah. One is the Tambatuon Dam and the other is the alleged land grab issue in Kampung Rampayan. And if you want to engage with him, remember you can always send your questions in via Facebook or Twitter, ending with the hashtag FMTRaw. Okay, Dato', first question. What are the updates on the proposed Tambatuon Dam?
Thanks for having me, Steph. Talking about the Tambatuon Dam, at the moment the government is still looking at the feasibility studies. There's a lot been said and accused in this project, but I think the government is taking a position where they will try to solve all the problems. At least the first phase that doesn't require the dam, because the phases for the Jelapampari or the rice bowl for Kota Belud involve several phases. The first phase does not require the component or the dam to be built. So the government is saying right now, let's concentrate on the first phase, and then when the second phase comes in that requires the dam to be built, then we will tackle it.
Okay. When was the last time that you went down to Belud to speak to the villagers there about their concern?
This is the problem that I face. As you know, I'm going to have a debate with Abdul Rahman Dahlan by the end of February, hopefully on the 24th in Kota Belud, to really discuss about the dam. My problem is this: we wanted to talk to the villagers. I think everybody's jumping the gun. Number one is the government needs to do what they call geological tests on the land. Secondly, they need to do humanitarian relief. What I can't remember the name of the study, but where they go in and talk to the people and ask how much income they have, household surveys, so that the government can come up with a proper compensation program for the people. Right now, I've met the villagers. My stand is very simple. In order for me to go and see them, I must come with concrete new proposals to them, or compensation at least. Without the compensation, I don't see there is any reason to see them per se, because it will end up having the same problem. They will accuse the government of will not be taking care of them, and then I'll say yes. So I would rather wait until the government can come up with at least a draft proposal on the compensation, then use that draft and see the people and say, look, this is what the government is prepared to offer you. And if you have any ideas or opinion, please talk to us again.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to add this one very quickly. I think as far as the villagers are concerned, they know what the issues are. No one is in the dark.
Okay.
So I think everybody knows what the issues are.
Okay, but the villagers are also saying that they were never consulted on this. It was all done in secrecy. People came there under the pretense of being researchers, and then later on they found out that they were actually appointed by the government to study the village. So why is this a misrepresentation, or why was it done in secrecy?
Not at all. I think everybody jumped the gun. When the consultant came up with the study on how to irrigate the 25,000 hectares of paddy fields in Kota Belud, they actually found out a good 8 location within Kota Belud for the dam. So each and every one of the location had to be done. They have to do a survey, soil test, at least to determine whether or not they are good or not to do the location. So when they go and to the kampong, they really wanted to do just to check the land, the geological test. With that test, then only they will say to the people, look, hey, your location or your kampong is a good location for the dam. Then the process of talking will start. I think again, I must emphasize, we're jumping the gun. If, for example, the geological test shows that it's not really a good location for the dam, then there's no discussion to start to begin with.
Okay. But again, the argument here is the fact that they were never even told about the dam in the first place. This is what they are saying, that they never knew that there were plans to have a dam, and then suddenly there are studies being done, so for them, part one was actually being consulted on whether they even wanted such a dam to be in the village, and that part seemed to have been skipped.
I think people don't, let's not forget the fact that when we want to build a dam, there's no way we can conceal the dam. The whole world will know that there's going to be a dam there. So eventually the people will know. Even before the dam is going to be built, I believe the people will know. It's just that it's just a matter of timing. The consultant wanted, because the consultant have to inform the government which ones of the 8 locations appropriate for the dam. So that's why they go in, just want to check the suitability of the land.
Okay. Now it seems like the similar situation is coming up in Kampung Rangkaian, where they said, not consulted, now you're taking away what is NCR land. Can you just give us a quick update of what's going on over there?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, everybody must appreciate that it's quite difficult to develop a district like Kota, huge vast land and economically disadvantaged, and is way from the well-written part of development. So we need to be a bit more aggressive in getting government allocations as well as private investment. Now, in the case of this Rangkaian, I can appreciate. You see, this is where the government is always in a fix. There's no development that will take place. In the air, we need land. Whatever you want to build, you need land. And when the development takes place, or the proposal came in, there was an extensive effort done on the part of the Wakil Rakyat, not just me, but the Ali Dewan Undangan meeting and the rest of the Wakil Rakyat in Kota Belud, together with the district officer, to determine the status of the land. And the status of the land, clearly, the register of land clearly states that this is a state land. So the NCR issue came later, when the government decided, okay, look, this is a good place to develop for the hotel. And some people knew about it and then claimed that it's an NCR. They've been talking about NCR claim over the land for many years. But really, has there been any efforts on the part of the villagers to really continuously, show that they are interested in the land to be given as an NCR? That has to be determined by the government.
Okay, so at this stage, where are we at this point?
At the moment, the land alienation will have to be done by the state cabinet. The state cabinet is the only authority that is allowed to alienate the land of this size, of this magnitude. So the state government has not decided yet. One of the reasons is because of this NCR claim. The other is because the government is trying to look for a win-win solution, whereby those people villagers who have applied for the land will be given a small portion, and I don't know how big. They might not be getting 10, 20 acres per person, but a certain amount, while the development will take place.
We're going to take a question from Dr. Edwin Bosi via Twitter. Filipinos getting my cards categorized as bajaus. What are your comments on that?
Well, I agree. Dr. Edwin is a good friend of mine. He is a very good leader coming from DAP Sabah. My problem is there's a lot of allegation out there. Now that we are going to have the parliamentary select committee, I think this is one of the ways and avenues for people to come up and substantiate their allegations, and let's look at the way on how to solve the problem. There have been allegations, a lot of talks have been going around in terms of people are getting ICs and all that. So let's solve it in the PSC. I think it's one avenue that everybody can go in.
Okay. On that topic, what is your take on the PSC? How do you see it?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, provided that nobody wants to politicize the whole system, the whole system. We have seen RCI being politicized and it didn't go anywhere. I think Parliamentary Select Committee made up of all the members of Parliament from both divide, including independence, will be able to look into it more precisely, more focused than compared to emergency meeting of Parliament. Now, the committee will sit outside of the normal hours or normal proceeding in the Dewan. It will have a meeting in its own meeting room, and there will be a lot of time spent on interviewing witnesses, and you can call it expert and try to come up with a solution and conclusions to the whole problem.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Okay. What about the inclusion of an independent MP? The opposition is saying, that it's not necessary and it could, sort of backfire against them because they are more likely to side with the BN.
Why so? Well, they are independent after all. I think let's not cloud the issue here. I think what is important is that the opposition will be able to express the views in the committee, not irrespective who make up the rest of the committee members. I think what is important is that DAP, Pakatan Rakyat, Keadilan and PAS, representative in the committee will be able to express themselves without any hindrance. That's the most important thing. And remember, I said, this is a committee which will be scrutinized minutely by everybody, including NGOs and maybe international press. So there's really no way for you to wiggle your way out.
Okay. Do you think it's already starting to be politicized?
Yes, it is, and I'm very disappointed. I think even the composition of the committee is being challenged, as well as the chairmanship. No, I'm also a member of one select committee. I'm a member of a public accounts committee. It's a standing committee. It doesn't have a deadline. It is on for the rest of the duration of the Dewan. But here's the thing. I think it's not so much. I can also say that if the opposition is the chairman of this select committee, how sure are you? How confident can I be that he is going to play his card justifiably or being adil and sama? He can also bias in favor of his own members. So really, you go back to the nature of Dewan Rakyat. Barisan Nasional has the majority. So let's reflect that in the select committee membership.
Okay. How much involvement do you think Bersih 2.0 and the Election Commission should have in, first of all, the formation and then later on in the reviews of the findings?
I think they will be the main witnesses to the committee. I think they will be engaged and will be called in. May not be once, maybe twice, 3 times, whenever the issue arises. I think they will be very much part of the proceedings. But you must understand this is a parliamentarian select committee, so the members must be made of MPs. But they will come in. I'm sure that Ambinga will be called in, if not by the BN, and the opposition members of the committee will summon her to appear in front of the committee, and will be giving out testimonies.
Okay, so they will not be sidelined in any way,
No way. I've seen it. How they work. It's very much bipartisan. Okay. Amiga will have to testify. I believe if the opposition is not calling her, we will be calling her, because she has a lot to answer to some of the things that we've heard on the part of Barisan Nasional. Okay. If I were a member of the select committee, I'll call her.
Okay. Bersih is also saying that the first steps towards the reforms should be to implement the 8 demands, because it's easily implemented. What do you say?
We have already talked about the 8 demands. There are some good ones there, but there are things that you cannot do because it requires amendments to the law. I think Ambiga knows this, and I think let's just take a deep breath and stand down a little bit and look at the big picture. Both sides want a better election commission, a more efficient election commission. But to say I will only deal with you if you accept these 8 demands, I think that's not negotiation. That's really ugutan,
Okay.
It's not negotiations. Negotiate is when you say, okay, let's look at this one by one. And we have the problem with these 8 demands is because both sides have very strong opinion, and both sides are actually not wrong and not right.
Okay.
You know, it's your opinion against my opinion, you know, and both of us have strong opinions. So how do we decide? At the end of the day, the people will have to decide who's right, who's wrong. But really, these are opinions. So the government is not budging because they think that the indelible ink is not the way to go. It is the biometric. And of course, the other side says it's not right. So let's see whether the Parliamentary Select Committee will be able to fine-tune these suggestions.
Okay. When the question of Bersih's involvement in the PSC came up yesterday, I think Dr. Sri Nazri Aziz's response was, who is Bersih? I don't know who they are. Does that imply or indicate of as a refusal to acknowledge the public's voice or recognize the public's voice?
I didn't see or read that part of Dr. Sri Nazri's reaction. But I think everybody knows that Bersih exists.
Okay.
I mean, you can't deny that 9th of July,
right.
Something happened. It's just that how do you deal with it? I think the 8 demands are there for the world to see. I think somehow or other the government has to acknowledge that there are demands. The fact that SPR has been talking about it, the government has been talking about it, is actually an acknowledgement of Bersih's existence per se. Okay. It's just that hopefully that Bersih will be able to approach this problem with a bit more non-partisan perception. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit more difficult.
Okay, I just want to read out a quote by the Teluk Intan MP today. He said that, I'm worried, speaking about the PSC and the formation, formation. I'm also worried as the parliament system is now structurally weak. I have seen many times the speaker play a role which is subservient to the executive, and I'm worried that the PSC may turn into that.
No, I think in any parliament in the world, the government of the day will always have an advantage. Okay. Otherwise, there's no such thing as governance. You know, policies of the government must take precedence over the consideration of opposition views, because they are the government. Because at the end of the day, if we think that the policies of the government of the day are not good, they can be thrown out in the next general election. So, but to block any views or policies to be debated and given due consideration by Parliament on the part of the government, I think it's also wrong. Okay. That's again, like I said, it's your view against mine. So the Parliament, the Speaker, knowing very well that the Barisan Nasional has majority in Parliament, he should know that as long as not against the law, the policy is intact. He should be able to allow the government to have its say. You know, the Speaker always say, in the democracy, the minority will have its say, but the majority will have its way. You can say, you know, you can say whatever you want to say as far as the policies are concerned, but the government of the day must be given ample space to implement its policies. Because at the end of the day, it's not Parliament that decide. It's not my good friend Teluk Intan decide whether the policy is good or not, or decision made by the government is good or not. It will be the electorates when they go and vote in GE30.
Okay. Before we began the interview, you also were talking about government policies and how the government should run its business, as you put it. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think it has come to a stage where I think the government, especially the federal government, if you look at the mature democracies in UK, US, in Europe, most of the ministers, their main function is to explain policies to the public. They will go to the weekend talk shows, the parliamentary select committees to testify and explain about the government's policies, the government that they represent as cabinet members. In Malaysia right now, that culture has not evolved yet. We still have ministers too busy with the day-to-day running of the ministry, which is fine. but I think they need to slow down a bit and spend more time in explaining their ministry's policies. They can go to Parliament, to select committees, they can go to Sunday morning talks, engage the papers, media, online medias, and go down to the ground, and talk about policy matters. Because I think, which is good, right now the opposition is attacking the policies of the government, and yet we are still busy, potong ribbon, gong, officiating one program there and one program here. Maybe it's time for us the government, to slow down a bit. The ministers must be able to engage and explain policy matters. This is where it should be. Then the people will be able to know whether or not the policy is good or not.
Okay, so you think the right at this point are still not crystal clear about certain policies?
We fall into a zone where sometimes we depend too much on RTM, depends too much on the normal media outlets to explain government's policy. I would love to hear each and every one of the ministers that we have some ideas on what Bersih is all about, for example. And they need to do a lot of engagement. Right now, we spend a lot of time depending on the government machineries, not the ministers individually, I believe, to explain policies. Okay. So they need to go and engage the people. Maybe a small charama, maybe like I said, go to the talk show, like FMT.
How are you engaging your constituents and those outside of your constituency? What are you doing?
I do allow dissension in my blog, in my Facebook. I allow everybody to express themselves. Sometimes I deliberately delay my response to a certain issue because I want to hear people's opinion about a certain issue first. Then I come in, I explain the government stand. So that's why when an issue crop up in Kota Belud, probably I'll take about a week or so just to respond back, so that I could read or understand the ordinary people's opinion before I go in and color their opinion.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Billy T25 via Twitter pointed out that you are not a Sabahan.
Well, am I? Maybe I'm a planet of the apes or what? I'm a Sabahan. I'm a true Sabahan. I'm a pure Bajau, proud, damn proud of it. I don't know what he means by I'm not a Sabahan.
Okay. Wanting to go back to what you're talking about about the media and RTM and the normal mainstream media. The last interview you had with FMT, you also talked about the role of the alternative media. You had high opinions of their existence. What do you?
I have high opinions, but not necessarily liking them. I think there is no way we can escape the alternative media. They are here to stay. I think the technology is such that you can't stop them. It is not possible at all anyway, even if you want to. So, in a way that you have to engage them. Of course, I do believe that online media in Malaysia has still a lot of room to improve as well in terms of its objectivity, and also ensuring that healthy debate is happening. I mean, if you look at most of the top 3 online websites, alternative media, you tend to see or read anti-government comments. I don't know what happened to the pro-government. Either they've been deleted or not being attended to. I don't know. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is we do not want the alternative media to be seen as partisan. It has to be bipartisan in order for them to be really engaging the people and develop, the mentality of Malaysians. So you cannot be seen as partisan. Okay. So that's why I do engage. That's why I come to FMT today, even though some people say FMT is quite critical of the government. But so be it. But the fact that I'm here is a good indication that Free Malaysia today is exercising a balanced coverage.
And yet, despite all that engagement, you still have some FMT readers calling you be an apologist for your views. How fair is that to you?
Well, I mean, let's have an open discussion, in these days and age. I think everybody needs to be a bit more open, and you got to. It's not easy being a politician in Malaysia right now. I come in at the wrong time, I think. But in a way, I'm very happy. I think the voice of the younger generation are being heard. The voice of the fringe communities are being heard. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I hope the opposition, who has been clamoring for a two-party system in Malaysia, to act like one. You go down and object something, you come up with your own alternative strategy, and you just don't punch people below the belt, and expect to, not getting the same treatment. So if we do not know how to look after how to engage the people, our politics, then it will quickly go into a shouting match, which is not good. So I think opposition also has a role to play, and I welcome them. It's just that when they go and object something, they have to come up with alternatives. Then the government, the people will be able to see which ones are better.
Okay. As a first-term MP who has come in at the wrong time, what are your challenges, especially since your constituency is one like Kota Belud?
First of all, development. I think, I mean, a lot of these opposition members of parliament in parliament, always criticize the government, the federal government, of abandoning Sabah and Sarawak in terms of development. But it's all about budget. Now, I want to ask these opposition members, are they willing to forego MRT, for example, and tell the government, hey, let's not have another highway in Klang Valley, and use that money and help the people in Kota Belud to develop, to have village roads and water supply and schools and hospitals.
Can I just take you back to just describing what is Kota Belud really like?
Kota Belud is a huge place. The area is huge. It encompasses the foothills of Gunung Kinabalu all the way to the Pulau Mandanan, out there in the South China Sea. So it's a huge area. It's primarily agrarian economy. A lot of rice and paddy fields and getah, rubber trees. It is still considered as one of the poorest districts in Malaysia.
You've called it a God-forsaken place before.
Well, not really the Kota Belud. That particular place that I was talking about in terms of where the hotel was supposed to be built. It's not the whole entire. Right, it's a very nice place, and we need to develop Kota Belud based on its strength. The strength is in agriculture and in tourism. So at the moment we have Jelapang Padi going on right now. Government is spending serious money on that, and I'm very thankful. But we need to develop the other strength of Kota Belud, which is tourism. We have one of the longest, whitest beach in Malaysia. We have one of the best, nicest diving spot in Malaysia. So we need to have 5-star hotels as a catalyst, and they will provide jobs. A lot of people are saying to me, why do I have to support this hotel development? Why do I have to support this empangan of the dam? Am I not, Kit Siang was always asking me, are you not, do you not feel guilty for letting down the peoples or the villages that are affected? You are, after all, he said, representative of those villages. I agree. But this is where I have to juggle this thing. I'm also a representative of the rest of Kota Belud who are dying for development, who want jobs, who want spin-offs, economic spin-off, who want opportunities for their children, so that their children don't have to go to Kota Belud, to Kota Kinabalu, to KL to find jobs. I'm also their voice, So when this hotels complex came about, I'm also listening to the rest of Kota Belud, who want development. They want jobs. Then I cannot deny them that just because a group of villagers are opposing this development, this hotel development, or this tourism complex. on the pretext that this is an NCR land. That is why I was very meticulous and very, very focused. The first thing I did, together with the rest of the Dewan Wakil Rakyat, is to find out the status of the land. If the land is actually NCR, I will be the first one to say no to the development. Because I respect NCR lands, and I'm one of the natives, I know. But when I go to the registrar, clearly it states it's a state land. So now I'm having a problem whether to accede to the request of the villagers and stop this development, and the thousands of Kota Beluds who are dying, yearning for job opportunities. So it's quite difficult at times to balance this.
Right. Okay, we are coming to the end of the half hour. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think the younger generation right now, something good happened after 2008, and that is the awareness, political awareness. I think a lot of people are saying they want transparency, they want openness, but unfortunately they're only demanding this on the part of the government. I think the younger generation should take one step backward and say, hey, look at the big picture. Put under scrutiny both Barisan and Pakatan Rakyat. Because if you don't do that, you end up with having another party who may be worse than Barisan Nasional. So you've got to be able to, I'm a party man, so I have to support my Barisan Nasional. But for those who call themselves non-partisan, who happen to be in my Twitter followers and in my Facebook, as much as you want Barisan Nasional to be put under scrutiny, you do that also to the opposition. Then you get the best out of it. So not everything the government does is wrong, not everything that the opposition does is right. So it's a balance. Now, but here's the thing, my last comment, I suppose. On certain issues, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's only opinion. Opposition opinion, Barisan Nasional's opinion. Now, how do you break the deadlock? The only person who can do that are the voters, and they will do it in the general election. Because it's just your opinion against mine. So I will not budge, and you will not budge. So at the end of the day, you state your case, I state my case, and let the people decide. And that will be in GE 13. So if Barisan Nasional wins, overwhelmingly people will vote for us. The same thing with opposition. And you cannot be dwelling on certain issues for months on. Like Teo Beng Hawk's issue, for example. It's been on and on and on and on. There must be some closure to it. Even though if it is hanging, there are some certain issues you just can't find conclusion to it. We just have to take it with a pinch of salt and move on, and let the people decide come general election. So there's no black and white. There's no closure. Okay. So hopefully in the case of Bersih, when the PAC, the Parliamentary Select Committee, starts, hopefully it will come up with a conclusion or solution that everybody accepts. But if it's not, I don't know how long it will take place. If, let's say, for example, until the end of the tenure of GE12, parliamentary 12th Parliament expires and there's no conclusion, then I think we still have to call for election, isn't it? So let the people decide. I think the people have heard both sides of the divide, both views, strong views on indelible ink, on biometric and automatic registration, and duplication of ICs and registration and whatever not. So let the people decide. I put my trust to the people of Malaysia to decide what's the best for the country.
Okay. Last question: will you be defending your seat in the next GE?
I think it all depends on the Prime Minister. I will state it clearly here, and I think this is the first time I will say it. The first time I'm saying this, and I will take this opportunity in FMT's office to say it. I pledge my allegiance to the party, and I will inform the Prime Minister that if I'm not accepted, or if I'm not re-nominated as a candidate, even as an MP or ADUN, I will not sabotage the party I will not close down my operation. I will not go overseas and not help the party to win the election. I will not be mad. This is my pledge to the president of my party and my party. So I say this in FMT. I pledge that I will not sabotage in any way the party if I'm not selected or re-nominated as an assemblyman or as a member of parliament. No problem whatsoever.
Okay. We've got one question from G. Hassan via Facebook. Any word internally on the date for the 13th general election?
I asked the same question to the Prime Minister on some private moments with him. Whenever I asked that question, he looked into my eyes. The Prime Minister will look into my eyes and say, "When do you want it to be?" So I said, "When do you want it to be, sir?" I said, he returned the question with the question to me and say, "When do you want it to be? Are you ready?" Really, that is a very meaningful question. Are we ready? I mean, as far as Barisan Nasional is concerned. But I think at the end of the day, the date will be, this parliamentary select committee will have a bearing on the date.
Okay.
So let's see. I don't foresee it happens this year.
Okay.
I think probably next year. Hopefully we can expedite the work of this PSC and come up with certain conclusion, so that everybody can go on and have the general election.
Okay, all right.
That would be a good closure.
Okay. We are wrapping up the interview now with the Kota Belud MP, Dato' Abdul Rahman Dahlan. Dato', thank you very much for joining us today. And for all of you out there who viewed us and sent in your questions, thank you. We'll catch you again soon.